So today is Tuesday, November 12th, 2024, and as a pro se litigant, I have no access to the electronic court file. That means that I have to come into the Larimer County Justice Center every day, every other day, and before you judge me about not having an attorney and me being a fool for going through these legal battles on my own, just consider how expensive it is to have an attorney. And by the way, I did have an attorney for the first part of the legal cases against John Feyen and Justin Smith, and my attorney had to withdraw for health reasons. That's not his fault. But once your money is gone in these extended legal fights, your money's gone, and you have to do whatever you can. You have to make the decisions based on however you can survive. You have to figure out how to make that happen. So I've been waiting for an order in the case against Justin Smith for quite some time. And last week I contacted the court clerk to ask if we were going to get a ruling anytime soon, because I have to file my notice of appeal this week against Justin Smith. And so when I came in this afternoon to check the court file to see if an order had been issued, I was shocked. And that's why I'm doing this impromptu video, so that you can see exactly what an outrageous experience it has been to sue the sheriff and the former sheriff. Apparently, John Feyen and Justin Smith continue to believe they are above the law, that the law does not apply to them, and they hire attorneys who have those same belief systems. John Feyen's attorney throughout most of the case was Michael Milstein, and he outrageously violated not only the rules of professional conduct, but also the law. Justin Smith's attorney throughout this entire case has been Brian Reynolds, and it is difficult to describe what Brian Reynolds has done to block justice in this case and to protect the criminal actions of his own client, Justin Smith. But we have an order. I came in today thrilled to see an order from Judge Jouard. He's a district court judge in the 8th Judicial District, and he finally issued an order on my motion for sanctions against Justin Smith's attorney, Brian Reynolds. Now, it's important to remember that when you have an attorney, that attorney is you. You become the voice in that attorney. That attorney is your voice. When you have an attorney, you no longer have your own voice. You are completely subjected to what your attorney says. And anytime you file a motion as a defendant, it says by and through your attorney. So you are that attorney. There is no separation between you and the attorney in the legal system. So everything that John Feyen's attorney Michael Milstein did, and everything that Justin Smith's attorney Brian Reynolds did, everything that Michael Milstein and Brian Reynolds did was on behalf of John Feyen and Justin Smith. You cannot separate the two. You can't say, oh, well, poor John Feyen, he didn't understand, or poor Justin Smith, he just didn't know the law. He didn't understand that this is what was going to happen. John Feyen and Justin Smith knew full well the kind of attorneys they were hiring, and they completely understand how far outside the bounds of the law and professional conduct their attorneys have stepped. But now we have an order talking about it, so here we go. So in Justin Smith's case, I filed a motion for sanctions against Brian Reynolds because Brian Reynolds actually prevented me from conducting discovery. As this case unfolded, I put that on the record with Judge Jouard. I repeatedly put that on the record. And at one point, Judge Jouard found Brian Reynolds in contempt. He found him in contempt because after Judge Jouard had ruled in my favor at the end of a hearing and ruled against Justin Smith, Brian Reynolds exclaimed, "Bitch." Now, I don't actually know if he was calling me a bitch or Judge Jouard a bitch, because Jouard had just issued the ruling, and there is no evidence to determine who Brian Reynolds was calling the bitch. Anyway, I filed a lengthy motion for sanctions because Brian Reynolds, okay, let's say it this way. I've seen a lot of really, really nasty, devious attorneys in my 20 years of focusing on the criminal justice system and wrongful convictions, malicious prosecutions. I have a lot of experience with attorneys. There are some really good attorneys out there who would never dream of crossing the lines that Feyen and Smith's attorneys would cross, but let's hear it from Judge Jouard himself. So this is 8th Judicial District Court Judge Stephen Jouard's order regarding plaintiff's motion for sanctions. Judge Jouard issued this order on November 8th, 2024, but because yesterday was a holiday, November 11th, for Veterans Day, I was not able to come to the courthouse and check the case file until right now. I'll post the entire order in the comments so that you can read the entire order, but for now I'm just going to read you a paragraph. And I have to wait because somebody just left the courthouse, and as happens so often in here, this person is traumatized, and the people that she is with probably don't fully understand how devastating it can be to come into this building. So I will wait one moment until these poor traumatized people clear out. Based upon a review of referenced depositions, the court has real concerns as to whether defense counsel Reynolds' conduct in defending and taking depositions in this matter violated the rules of professional conduct. As noted in plaintiff's motion, defense counsel asserted objections 373 times during plaintiff's deposition of defendant Justin Smith. A review of the transcript reveals that many of the objections asserted also directed the deponent not to respond to the questions posed. Many of the objections and directions not to answer do not appear to be supported by any rule or case law. Accordingly, the court has serious concerns as to whether defense counsel Reynolds acted properly and complied with the rules of professional conduct. Given these concerns, the court will refer this matter to the Office of Attorney Regulation Counsel for investigation. The court finds this is the proper avenue to address plaintiff's concerns. The paragraph just before that says, plaintiff in her motion refers to additional behavior of defense counsel, which she asserts violated the rules of professional conduct governing attorney conduct and warrants sanctions in this matter. In response to plaintiff's motion, the court has re-reviewed deposition transcripts taken in this matter, as well as considering the additional allegations made by plaintiff. The trauma associated with being in this building so often takes an actual toll. So again, I'm having to wait because there are people experiencing severe emotional distress because of what happens inside, and it impacts me. Also in Judge Jouard's order, he says, the court is aware of specific behavior of defense counsel Reynolds, in which he referred to the plaintiff as a, quote, bitch. The court previously issued an order to show cause to defense counsel Reynolds to show why he should not be found in direct contempt for his in-court statements. Defense counsel appeared before the court on June 20, 2024, and the court determined that the defense counsel's behavior was improper and found counsel to be in direct contempt. The court fined counsel $500 with regard to the episode as reflected in the court file. Now, when I filed this motion for sanctions against Justin Smith's attorney, Brian Reynolds, the only thing that Brian Reynolds wrote in response, well, not the only thing, one of the main things that he wrote in his response to my motion for sanctions was the following. He asked the court to strike the motion as, quote, immaterial, impertinent, or scandalous, or otherwise deny the motion as moot. So that pretty much tells you how Justin Smith's attorney has been handling this case. What does this actually mean to the case against Justin Smith for defamation per se, actual malice? What this means is that the court recognizes, no, let me say it this way. Because Judge Stephen Jouard has so much experience as a district court judge in the 8th Judicial District, he knows, the judge knows that I was not given an equal and fair opportunity to obtain discovery in this case because Brian Reynolds blocked my access to discovery, to anything that could be relevant to me winning this case. It was no accident that Brian Reynolds did it. Justin Smith and John Feyen and John Feyen's attorneys have to block these cases. They have to block justice in these cases. If they lose these cases, please understand that it's not just Justin Smith and John Feyen who are going to be held accountable in the law. It's everyone who helped them get away with it, get away with their crimes for the past 13 years. That's a lot of people in Larimer County who are facing a lot of difficulties through the justice system, through civil lawsuits. There are criminal actions that they've covered up, that they have hidden, and that is why they hired attorneys in Milstein and Reynolds who really had no ethical parameters. They didn't care about the law, and they took full advantage of the fact that I didn't have an attorney partway through these cases. So this is where we are. Basically, Justin Smith's case is going to be a do-over. You cannot block the plaintiff from access to legitimate discovery and then say it was a fair case. So here we go again. The basic idea is that any rulings that Judge Jouard made after discovery was closed are void. They mean nothing. Those rulings are based on the fact that Brian Reynolds and Justin Smith blocked my access to relevant discovery that would have proven this case beyond a shadow of a doubt. Clear and convincing evidence was covered up again. We are going on 14 years of Justin Smith hiding evidence of his crimes. And this case against him for defamation per se, actual malice, is no exception. He's continuing to hide the evidence. And that's not acceptable. I'm here for justice for all. This case is not about me. It is about everyone in this county who has been destroyed by the injustice and the criminal actions by the officials here. It's interesting, on a complete side note, it's interesting that Judge Jouard issued this order on November 8th, 2024, because on November 8th of 2012, 12 years ago at 11:08, a pit maneuver was done on my full-size SUV. That was in the middle of a wide open intersection at Mulberry and Taft Hill Road. My Ford Expedition flipped end to end and then rolled 4.5 times. Witnesses said the driver of the car that hit me accelerated through the red light that driver had. I had a full green. I was not speeding. I was not ticketed at all. I was going under the speed limit, which is what I do. If you know me, you understand that I don't even violate driving laws. So, yeah, 12 years later, I have law enforcement friends who said that pit maneuver that was done to my car in 2012 was an attempted, well, they called it a hit. It didn't occur to me that could have been what it was until I had people who knew what a pit maneuver was explain how difficult it is to make a perfect pit maneuver. The driver of the other car was not injured at all. There was no visible damage to that driver's car. And I had a severe concussion. My head hit the windshield on impact, broke the window, and I had severe whiplash and a severe concussion. I couldn't do simple math calculations for a very long time because of the damage to my brain. And so here we are 12 years later. And if it takes 12 more years, I'll be sitting here in 12 years. Because, as I said, these cases against John Feyen and Justin Smith are not about me. It's about everyone who has been hurt, damaged, destroyed, maimed, brutalized by crimes that have been committed by law enforcement officers and judges and magistrates and county and city officials. This is for all of you. It's not about me. Has it hurt me personally deeply? Yes. There are times still where I do not know if I will survive. The emotional, psychological, and physical damage that has been done to me because of this battle. But I'll be here in 12 years saying the same things if I need to be. Justice for all means for all of the innocent people and for all of the guilty officials. All.